Oh, Mega Man? I've never played Mega Man, but I heard it's so good. Like, people who like Mega Man love Mega Man, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you can set your name color to random. Maybe that's why. Oh my god, you're a genius, Asteroid. Holy crap. Oh my god, you guys are all so much smarter than me. Which is good, I need all the help I can get. Oh, this is pretty music. There was the boat docked in the harbor. We just got to chapter 4, so we're just starting. Goda helping unload it. Fuck you, Goda. Then, we don't like Goda here. This is a Goda hate place, okay? Then once all of its passengers had disembarked, the boat began to separate from the shoreline. The relatives were gradually swallowed up by the island. Oh, here's Jessica. What a good girl.
Maria-chan, 気をつけないと転ぶよ。気をつけて。
We also hate George in this house. We do not like this man. This is a fake fucking smile. I know you're a twisted psychopath underneath all that. Also, there is a new emote that's being added, so that's exciting. It's a cute tails thumbs up emote. So that will be coming soon. It's waiting to be approved. Oh, okay, have a good time streaming. Thanks for being here, Zarthus. I really appreciate it. Have a great time. The long-missed cousins I had loved dashed across the beach, getting swallowed by the forest path that led to the mansion and disappeared. Of course, Oni-chan could be seen among them too.
くそー。待て待てマリア。こんなすばしっこいやつ。
Maria One-chan, whom I'd loved, started dashing, and Oni-chan chased after her. They were swallowed up by the forest. Poor Angie. Following them, father and mother were also swallowed up. The rest of the parents were swallowed up. They were swallowed up, leaving only me behind.
バカ。いつまでこんなところで魔女と戯れて遊んでいるのよ。
I have 2 more Mega Man Zero games that I haven't finished yet, so I'm hoping I can finish one of them today. Oh, good luck! I believe in you. You can finish it. You can do it. Yay! Fight, Nippa!
そして気がついて残された私がどれだけ辛く寂しい世界で孤独を強いられるかを。
Oh, I got an achievement. Nippa! Ooh, St. Lucia Academy. Angie's future. Yep, this is Shion's school, alright.
ごきげんよう。ごきげんよう。
This is a cute outfit. Good day to use the standard greeting used here. No matter how many years pass by, the style of greeting still feels very awkward. Even though I had responded to the greeting in order to stifle that awkward feeling, the classmate who had spoken looked at me blankly.
なに違うわよね。
Their choices of words and manner were certainly what you'd expect from a school for rich girls. Sorry, hold on. I'm trying to grab a wire and it's stuck. There we go, I got it. I have to charge something, that's why. But the actual meaning was as innocent and as cruel as you'd expect from kids that age. It seems they found it funny that I'd mistakenly thought the greeting was directed at me. Aww, that's so sad. No, it might be the opposite. Maybe they didn't know how to react after being suddenly greeted by a gloomy, quiet kid like me. No, judging by the gazes of my classmates who were looking this way over their shoulders and whispering to each other, it looked as though some of them considered this refreshing morning ruined. I was dark, because I was disliked. So trying not to get in the way of everyone's refreshing morning anymore, I stooped lower and entered the classroom. Almost like I was cutting through the aisle in a movie theater while the movie was running. This is an all-dorm school, St. Lucia Academy. It's not a school that anyone can get into by taking a test. It's a hidden rich girl school, known only by a select group of celebrities and from various fields. For lofty nobles who truly wish their daughters could be raised like saints, this probably is the ideal school in which to protect them from the impurities of the common world. But at the same time, it was probably also convenient for nobles who wanted to confine daughters they didn't want out in public. As well as an academy isolated from the impurities of the common world, it also held excellent potential as a prison school. It was truly among the latter and was confined in St. Lucia Academy. Oh, I was truly among the latter, forced to live my life in dreariness. Of course, there weren't that many students like me, and you couldn't tell us apart at a glance. However, even if we never fessed up about it, you could usually figure out who we were by watching how we acted. After all, we were always hanging our heads with an expression on our faces as though the whole world has abandoned us. Anyway, every class has one or two kids like that. So even if they didn't speak up about it, you could guess who they were. Sorry. Therefore, even though I never confessed that I was one of those kids, at some point everyone in my class knew about it. Just like how the seriousness of an injury becomes a sign of status in a hospital room, how noble of birth one had become a sign of status here. Those girls who couldn't be acknowledged in public were probably nothing more than filth to the others. They must have thought that getting involved with such students would dirty them as well. When a rumor sprang up about a particular student, those prestigious girls would grow cold and distant, chasing that student out of all social groups. Thanks to that, I led a quiet school life like this, all by myself. Well, that's only if hearing people whispering behind my back, finding my things lost or broken all the time, and having everyone pretend like they didn't know anything can be called a quiet school life. Even this early in the morning, I must look worn out. I can almost understand why my other classmates who had a refreshing morning looked at my face and wanted to click their tongues. Consciously trying to do as I should and avoiding tainting my classmates' morning, I quietly took my seat. Then unusually someone came to talk to me. It was the class
ご
leader.
きげんよう、白宮さん。朝からご機嫌斜めなご様子ね。ちゃんと睡眠は取られてる？
何かご用ですか？
学年発表会のアンケート、まだ提出してないの。後ろ宮さんだけよ。昨日までが提出日だったの。お忘れ？
Pretty sure I heard something about that last week, but I thought that questionnaire hadn't been passed out yet. The details would be written there, so there shouldn't have been any need to remember them
アン
beforehand.
ケート用紙もらってないですけど。
そんなはずありません。寮長から全員にちゃんと配布されてるはずです。なくしてしまったならそうと素直におっしゃればいいのに。
They're so condescending.
今すぐ書きますから。用紙をいただけますか？
Again. Either someone lost my sheet or they intentionally didn't tell me about it, but I have no way of knowing who was behind that. In the end, treating it as though it was my own carelessness would settle everything more quickly.
書いたらご自身で生徒会室のアンケートポストに投函されるように。うちのクラスだけですよ。夕べまでに全員のが揃わなかったのは。
As I hung my head at the class leader's scolding, I could hear the giggles and whispers of people watching, coming from no direction in particular. Uchiromiya-san did it again. She's just so careless. She doesn't deserve to be in this school. She has no dignity and no manners either. They're fucked up. Sorry, girls, but I've dealt with much worse when it comes to unfair personal attacks. As I froze my heart and let those arrows of ridicule pass by, I quickly filled out the questionnaire. For real, leave her alone! Some smash. That emo is so fucking funny. God, Summit is so funny. When I learned that father and mother and Oni-chan and all the rest of my family had died, I was at the house of my grandpa on my mother's side. The only survivor of the accident was Ava. Only Aunt Ava. Even at that time, I hadn't really liked Ava. At glance, she would act kindly, but even as young as I was, I could see that she was somehow making fun of father and the rest, and I hadn't liked it. So when it was decided that Aunt Ava would take care of me, I was pretty miserable. Maybe it wouldn't have mattered that gentle Uncle Hideyoshi and George Oni-chan had been with me. But I hated the thought of living alone with Ava. I'd frankly said that to Grandpa, hoping to live together in his house. However, Ava had been very insistent that she should be the one to look after me. She had no desire to remarry, so as her successor, I was essential if the Ushiromiya family was to continue. Ava felt very strongly about the family. She insisted that she take charge of me right away, so that she could give me an education and lifestyle fitting for a successor. After that, it seems like confusing negotiations with lawyers took place, but in the end, I was forced to go live with Aunt Ava. After doing that, Ava told me something. You must bear all of the glory and history of the Uchiromiya family. And in order to make you a fitting successor to bear that, the rest of your life will be dedicated to frantic studying. Sacrifice the rest of your life for the Uchiromiya family. That's what she said. At first, I thought she meant that literally, but I quickly realized that wasn't the case. Because even now in Ava's eyes, the one most fitting to succeed her was the late George Oni-chan. At our first meal together, I received strict instructions and questioning about table manners and was forced to listen to her abuse Mom and Dad as though they'd been neglectful in their discipline. I also received the same strict instructions regarding manners at my first party, and my clumsiness had disparaged in front of everybody, forcing me to endure insults to Mom and Dad as well. Also, I was thinking, and I know I mentioned earlier a new emotes being added, but if you want to join my Discord, you can use all my subscriber emotes there. There's not a lot, but if you just feel like it. So the Tails emote's in my Discord currently, so if you guys feel like that, just wanted to remind you guys. After that repeated over and over, I eventually began to understand. Aunt Ava didn't really want to make me her successor. She thought George Oni-chan was the only one truly suited to be her successor, and she couldn't forgive the fact that it was to be me instead. So she insulted me in front of lots of people. She humiliated me, and she made it known exactly how I was inferior to George, to both acquaintances and strangers. Surely in places of a memorial service for her dead son, or rather she must still be mourning his death. However, that wasn't something I could endure. I couldn't possibly live together with Ava. I was kept like a pet, my life continually compared with her dead son's. I understood that even when I was still in elementary school. I tried to escape the Ushiromiya house and run off to the house of my grandpa on my mother's side. However, Aunt Ava had already foreseen that. Now, thinking back on it, she might have lured me into escaping. I was caught by the guards and brought back, and for being a coward who had smeared the Ushiromiya family crest with mud and tried to throw it away, in a way that makes my whole body shake and shiver just remembering it, I was punished. How should I describe what Ava was like when she punished me? In a frenzy, gleeful, I saw the anger and sadness of losing her beloved son, as well as the hatred and pain from me stealing that inheritance from the son who should have received it, and the dark pleasure at being able to let those feelings out on me. I was hit with all those negative emotions at once. Poor Angie, that's so sad. Then all of my free time and freedom to act was stolen, and I was put under surveillance around the clock. I may have lived in a gorgeous mansion, dressed in expensive clothes, but my heart and my dignity had been trampled upon. I was the Ushiromiya family's slave, its cattle. Compared to that lifestyle, the derisive laughter of my classmates here was calm and pleasant. It caused my heart no trouble. That's so sad. After burying almost all the fields of the questionnaire with my nothing in particular. I folded it and put it in my pocket. Because if I left it in my desk, it might disappear again. During lunch break, after dropping it off at the post box in the student council room, I finished lunch by myself as usual and headed behind the school building where no one could be seen. Yeah, the music's good. Only my time by myself could protect me from the derisive laughter and gossip. I'm glad you like the music so much. Since I was hated and didn't have a single friend, my time alone was most kind to me. After checking the surrounding bushes to see whether some malicious classmates were hiding and threatening my time of quiet, I finally relaxed the tension from my entire body, knowing that I had gained some true peace. Then, I let out a sigh. It faltered heavy, as though it was the first time I had breathed out today. My old favorite place behind the vegetable garden storehouse had been found out by my classmates, and I had been teased, so this was my new lunchtime hideaway. There was nowhere to sit behind the school building. As I crouched near the wall in the shadow of the bushes, I opened my bag and took out a box with an elaborate old-fashioned binding. Just glancing at it, you'd probably think it was a religious book or something written in the Middle Ages, but this wasn't a book, it was a diary. I was just about to say, is this a diary? I'm a genius. Of course it wasn't my diary. Is this Beatrice's diary? There weren't any special things worth writing about in my daily life. Every single day was just gray, cold, and dry. In those completely unchanging days, there aren't any changes worth writing down. This was the diary of Maria One-chan, a girl I'd been very close to. Oh, this is Maria's diary. Okay, she'd been a bit strange and 3 years older than me, but One-chan was always warm, wonderful cousin. She'd always grab me by the hand and let me join in on some fun game. I remembered that being able to see her was the most fun part of our family gatherings. When I opened the diary, the characters, which were made fairly skillfully considering this was an elementary schooler, were packed closely together, though they were written on every other line. Was she just hopelessly obsessed with jotting everything down in her diary? Probably not. To her, writing her daily life down in a diary was probably like having a conversation with another part of herself. So rather than an object on which the events of her day were written down, Maria One-chan's diary was written like a letter to another part of herself, telling the events of the day. Found this diary among her belongings after her death and secretly took it home. At first I felt that reading someone else's diary might be boorish, and satisfied myself with just keeping it by my side, but I couldn't help flipping through the pages and reading through it bit by bit. And by now she had become my only friend. I gently opened to the page with the bookmark.
マリアお姉ちゃん、お待たせ。また、お姉ちゃんのお話を聞かせて。
At the same time, a very, very soft breeze blew, tickling the paper. I thought the open diary might have sparkled faintly. The weather's good today. Maria One-chan loves the wonderful rays of sunlight, so I'm sure she's in a good mood. On the pages of the open diary, in the world of the diary, Maria One-chan showed herself. Oh, this is so cool. Aww, this is so pretty. Pretty sure she was 9 when she died, so for her form was already younger than me. But I call her One-chan, so she affectionately calls me Angie.
おう、エンジ、今日は来るのが遅かった。お昼混んでた？うん、いつも混んでるわ。仲良しグループたちが席を陣取ってる上に、食事を終えた後も席を塞ぎ続けてるから。
This is also double cute because Maria doesn't have any friends either. you know, everyone's always judging her and telling her she's like weird and all this stuff, but Angie's like, you're my only friend, and Maria's so nice to her. And Angie doesn't have anyone, so they both need a friend and they both are each other's. It's like really cute.
食堂に行くのが遅くなると致命的ね。今日は片付けの当番だったから。
マリア、ご飯食べるの早い。早く食べ終わるとその分いっぱい遊べるの。
Maybe she realized I was holding a grudge because that duty had been forced upon me and shortened my lunch break by a bit. Maria Onechan brightly changed the subject. Grateful for the act of kindness, I responded by saying I was a slow eater. Maria calmed me down, saying something about teaching me the trick to eating fast. I read about it in her diary. Now I heard it from Maria Onechan. She was ranked #1 about girls in speed eating ranking for her grade's newspaper. She was apparently very proud of that, but a little disappointed that her mother, Aunt Rosa, hadn't praised her very much for it. Aww.
じゃあ今日のお話を始めるね。昨日はどこまでお話をしたかな。
ここまでよ。マリアお姉ちゃんがサクタロをプレゼントしてもらったところまで。サクタロの話を聞かせてくれる約束になってたわ。
サクタロのこと話すよ。サクタロはね、とっても可愛いぬいぐるみなの。エンジェもきっと気に入るよ。
そのお話を聞かせて。マリアお姉ちゃんにお話を聞かせてもらえる昼休みだけが学校で
マリア話す。サクタロはね、
When I looked at Maria Onechan, who was always in a good mood, it made my heart feel warm as well. As I listened to her tale, I began to get absorbed into her world.
Happy birthday, マリア。ごめんね、帰りが遅くなって。
That's a cute outfit with the little bunny on it. Aw.
ママもお仕事お疲れ様。マリア、ママが忙しいの知ってるから遅くなっても泣かないで待ってた。おとなしくテレビ見て待ってた。
マリアは偉いわね。お行儀よく待ってたご褒美に今日は何でも好きなものを注文していいわよ。もちろん食べきれる分だけだけどね。
今日はコーンスープをオニオングラタンスープに変えてもいい？
いいわよ。
200円高くなるけどプロシュートピッツァに
いいわよ。本当に食べられるなら。でも誕生日だしね。ちゃんとお行儀よく待ってたいい子のマリアにご褒美もないとね。
じゃあデザートに
Oh my
チー
god.
ズケーキも
Enchilada cheesecake. What is that?
あとねシェフの気まぐれフルーツサラダにキッズフライドポテト。マリアはいい子。マリアはいい子。ママに褒められた。
ちょっとはしゃぎすぎよ。もう少し静かにしないと他のお客さんに迷惑よ。
When Rosa gently admonished her, Maria stuck her tongue out and eased up a little, but it seemed that she was having a hard time repressing her excitement at being able to eat out with her mother after such a long time. Today was Maria's birthday. Rosa always tried to let Maria spend her birthdays at great restaurants. When Maria had been in kindergarten, they sometimes invited other kids from the neighborhood over and had a party at home. Rosa would make a wonderful cake and snacks to decorate the house for herself, making it a huge celebration. But when they moved and Maria no longer had friends in the neighborhood, Rosa had started splurging at expensive restaurants instead. However, today they were in a normal family restaurant. It was also a little late in the day for a kid like Maria to eat there, even with a parent. Actually, she had gotten reservations at a fantastic place that would surely have pleased Maria. Of course, she had also prepared a wonderful cake with Maria's name written on it. But Rosa hadn't been able to finish up her business and had been forced to cancel. Since that plan had been traded for a local family restaurant, Rosa felt a little indebted to Maria. So she was prepared to spoil Maria a bit and let her have whatever she wanted tonight.
マリアお姉ちゃんってあんまり食べないんじゃなかった？こんなに頼んで大丈夫なの？
あんまり食べられないけど、いっぱい並ぶのが好きなの。お誕生日のテーブルはね、赤、青、緑に黄色、いっぱい色とりどりだと幸せになれるの。
そうね。お誕生日のテーブルってカラフルだと幸せな気持ちになれるわね。うちの誕生日はマリアお姉ちゃんのところにはだいぶ負けるけど、駅前のケーキ屋さんで買ってくるケーキがいつもとても華やかだったっけ。
Angie thought back to her own birthdays nostalgically. Even though Dad was busy, he sometimes came home just to show up at my birthday party, and then went right back to his company. At the time, I was sad, but now I understand how important I was to Dad. Of course, Mom also took very good care of me. In particular, her birthday presents were always excellent taste, and she sometimes arranged for them several months in advance. Even though we always sent an invitation to Battler Onichan, he didn't get along with Dad or something, so he kept not coming. So when he did come, I was really happy. The birthday parties when the whole 4-person family gathered made for fun memories that I'll never forget.
レンジのお誕生日もとても楽しそうだね。
I don't really like Kitty, I'm gonna be honest.
バトラとルドルフおじさんがすごく賑やか。わいわいキャッキャ。あ、バトラコーラかけられてる。
Maria Onechan peeked into my happy memory. As I sat quietly wearing the origami helmet that Dad had made for fun, I was a little embarrassed. Because of the whole thing with Rudolph's ex-wife and the things she said, I was like, I did not expect, and the fact that she completely resents Battler and gets mad every time he looks at her, every time she looks at him, it's just like, ever since I learned that, she's been very off-putting to me. Like, I just don't like her after that. I don't know, but I need to know more about Battler's mom, I think, first, to really form an opinion. But so far my vibes are like, I don't like you. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know how I feel about you. In my hand was a paper gun that Battler Onichan had folded for me. And Mom was taking a commemorative photo. I like Rudolph though a lot. It was the happiest moment of my life. Aww.
でもマリアお姉ちゃんの誕生日だって負けてないよ。それで今日もらえるんでしょ、作太郎は。
すっごく楽しみだった。ママのカバンの脇にあるプレゼントの包みを早く見せてもらえないかなとずっとワクワクしてた。
Sakutaro is the name of a stuffed animal that Maria was to receive that day. For quite some time before then, Aunt Rosa had been making a stuffed animal to give Maria as a present today. Yeah, he's a fun guy. Hearing that it was a cute lion stuffed animal, Maria Onechan had already given it the name Sakutaro, even though she hadn't received it yet. Today she was looking forward to meeting Sakutaro even more than her own birthday. Aunt Rosa ran a clothing design company. It seemed to be some kind of brand name. What was it, Auntie Rosa? It seemed that the catchphrase was, "I can't forgive the me of yesterday." Unfortunately, I've never met someone who knew of that brand name. Maybe it wasn't that famous. So Aunt Rosa was pretty skilled with her hands. I heard that she made some of the clothing she wore herself. So making a stuffed animal had to be well within her capabilities.
手作りのぬいぐるみなんてちょっと素敵。ところで作太郎って名前どういう意味でつけたの？
本当はさくらってつけたかった。 でもオスライオンのぬいぐるみだから男の子の名前にしなさいって言われたの。だから男の子っぽく太郎を加えて作太郎。最後の「う」はいつの間にかなくなっちゃった。
なんでさくらなの？
テレビアニメの主人公の名前。
It was the name of the main character in a TV anime that was popular at the time. The fact that she'd simply borrowed the name of a character she liked was, how should I say it, as innocent and as cute as you'd expect from someone that age.
ママ作太郎まだ。
Sorry about that.
作太郎も一緒にお誕生日混ぜてあげたい。
プレゼントはいつも最後でしょ。今広げると汚しちゃうわよ。食事が終わるまで我慢しなさい。
じゃあ早く食事を終わらす。
As soon as she proclaimed that, she started tearing into her meal. Aunt Rosa got mad at her, saying that was rude. It seemed that she'd expected this would happen right away. I also thought that given how straightforward Maria was, that was probably what she'd do. So it was kind of pleasant when my expectations weren't betrayed. In the end, Aunt Rosa lost to her daughter's eyes, which were sparkling with anticipation, cleaned up the table, and took out the long-awaited wrap present.
ハッピーバースデーマリア。なかなか時間が取れなくてあまり上手に作れなかったんだけど。
ママの手作りなら何でも嬉しい。作太郎。
Aunt Rosa spoke a bit humbly, but Maria Onechan was happy even before opening the wrapping. I could really understand that feeling. It's not a problem of quality. Just the fact that it was a handmade present was more pleasing than anything.
開けてもいい？開けてもいい？
本当はお家に帰ってからにしてほしいんだけど、ちょっとだけよ。ちょっと見て挨拶したら一度しまうのよ。ちゃんと挨拶するのはお家に帰ってからにするのよ。ここはお外なんだからはしゃいじゃダメよ。約束できる？
約束する。だから開けてもいい？ママ、開けてもいい？
はいはい、ちょっとだけよ。
Before Aunt Rosa finished talking, Maria started unwrapping it. Aw, cute! Glad we get to see it. As soon as she did, yellow and orange peeked out. What appeared was a slightly blank-looking lion stuffed animal, with cute round eyes and a white chest. It was about the size of a small pillow. It looked pretty big next to someone as short as Maria Onechan, but it probably wasn't that large. From the perspective of someone who didn't know any better, it probably looked like something cheap bought from a department store or something. No, it doesn't. It looks great. But to Maria Onechan, it was her mother's handmade stuffed animal, the only one of its kind in the world and irreplaceable. Oh, this is so cute. Look at that. Oh my gosh.
かわいい。すっごくかわいい。ママありがとう。お仕事で忙しいのにこんなにかわいいぬいぐるみを作ってくれて本当にありがとう。
そんなに褒められるとかえって恥ずかしいわ。全然時間が取れなくて大したものを作れなかったの。本当は抱えきれないくらい大きなのを作るつもりだったのにね。
これでいい。このくらいの大きさならいつも一緒にいられるもん。一緒にお出かけできるもん。作太郎、お姉ちゃんだよ。本当に可愛らしいぬいぐるみね。この子がマリアお姉ちゃんの一番のお友達の作太郎なのね。学校には一緒に行けないけど、お家ではいつも一緒にいる一番のお友達なの。 サク太郎はね、とっても無垢で可愛らしくて、そしていつもマリアに優しくしてくれるの。マリアに元気がない時には励ましてくれて、マリアが元気な時は一緒にいっぱい遊んでくれるの。だからマリアはもう寂しくなんかない。ママが仕事で忙しくて一人ぼっちでも寂しくないし、学校で誰も遊んでくれなくても全然寂しくないの。ねえ、サク太郎。うりゅー。
At school, Maria Oni-chan had lived in the same kind of environment as I did. Compared to the other kids in her class, Maria Oni-chan's tempo was always a little slow. Her sensibilities and ways of viewing things were a little peculiar and a little too idiosyncratic for her to blend in. Her grades were low as well, and since she was talkative about everything related to the occult, her specialty, she was treated like a weirdo by everyone else in the class. If you were touched by a Maria Oni-chan, you'd be cursed, stuff like that. Apparently everyone in her class acted like she was disgusting, made fun of her, avoided her. If a boy bumped into Maria Oni-chan, he'd start rubbing that part against one of the other boys as if he'd gotten some scum on him. Oh, Jesus. They'd pick up her stuff like it was something filthy and chase the other boys around with it. It seems the girls thought that even speaking to her was unpleasant, so they ignored her all the time, only giggling and staring at her whenever she made a mistake.
いじめっていつの時代も似たようなものなのね。人間ってほんと進化しないの。滅べばいいのに。
マリアはいじめられて悲しいけど、でも仕方ないと思うの。
仕方ない？どうして？だ
ってクラスには一人いじめられっ子がいないといけないってルールなんだもん。
No, there's not, honey.
最低なルールね。それを作ったやつの後頭部をレンガで殴ってやりたいわ。
Oh my god, based Angie.
もちろん角で。
Using the corner, of course.
もしもマリアがいなくなったら、きっとマリアの代わりに新しい誰かが新しいいじめられっ子に選ばれる。マリアが我慢することで、マリアはその子をかばってあげられるの。
As she said that, she smiled faintly. Maria Oni-chan's way of thinking really is unusual. According to her, from the beginning, a witch had resided in the place called a school. Now, she said that any place where a lot of people gather will have a witch residing there. The witch tries to steal the students' souls through death by disease or accidents. Apparently, she sometimes also corrupts those souls, leading them down paths of evil. She says that an angel came, not content to let that continue.
天使様はね、魔女をやっつけようとした。でも魔女は兄弟で、戦いは7日7番に及んだんだけど、それでも決着しなかった。
With how I already like Maria, so I'm sure I'll like her even more. I already like how she's, written for sure. She's like an old soul. You know what I mean? In a little kid body, which is what happens when you're traumatized. You're forced to grow up really quick when you go through trauma at a young age. And that's what happened to poor little Maria. She got bullied, her mom abused her, no one took her serious, she was all alone. So she had to grow up really quickly. And it's really, really sad that she became such a good person through such horrible ways. I'm sure she'd be good either way, but
疲れ切った魔女は休戦しようと言ってこう提案したの。
前に聞いたわ。私はこれまでクラスの生徒の半分を病気にしたり怪我でもその代わりに残りの半分の生徒は病気と怪我から守ってきました。だからもしもクラスの一人を私への生贄に、その他全員の生徒を病気や怪我から守りましょう。だったっけ？
おう。天使様は考えたの。クラスの半分が不幸になることに比べたら、クラスの一人だけが不幸になることの方がずっといい。それに魔女はその強力な力で他全員の生徒の安全を守ってくれるという。
クラスに40人の生徒がいるとして20人の犠牲者が1人に減って実に合理的な提案。
I wonder if there's some theme behind this fairy tale. If it's a creation by Maria Onechan, a 9-year-old girl, that'd be pretty impressive.
天使様は
Girl.
その提案を飲むことにした。
Girl.
だから一人の生贄によって19人は救われた。だからマリアの役割は大切なの。魔女は19人を守ってる。
私たちが生贄になることによってその19人に感謝された覚えはないけれど。
Maria Onechan's idea was too compassionate. Both of us suffering from are suffering from a very similar type of misfortune. And yet maybe a small difference in our way of thinking changes how peaceful our hearts are.
それでマリアお姉ちゃんは悲しくないの？
悲しくなんかないよ。だってこれからはサク太郎が一緒だもんね。サク太郎。うりゅう、マリアと一緒なら僕も元気。
Oh.
サク太郎も元気って言ってるよ。
Maria Onechan hugged the Sakutaro stuffed animal, playing both sides of the conversation herself. I don't understand it, but that's exactly why I want to reach Maria Onechan's level. So I was intensely drawn to her tale and her words.
エンジェは一人ぼっちだから辛い？
辛いわ。でもマリアお姉ちゃんとこうしていられる時間だけは別。一人ぼっちじゃないから。
ならサク太郎もお友達になればもっと楽しくなるよ。じゃあ今日からサク太郎もエンジェの新しいお友達だよ。
She's such a sweetheart. Maria's so sweet.
ね、サク太郎。
Sweet little kid.
フリュウ、僕エンジェのお友達？フリュウ、エンジェ。
Aww. Skillfully moving the stuffed animal like it was a puppet, Maria Onechan expressed Sakutoro's emotions. She was controlling him, but the charming way he waved his short hand and cocked his head to the side made it feel like he really was a new friend called Sakutoro. Of course, looking at it with cold eyes, it would only appear that Maria Onechan was comforting me when I was grumping, but a soul had definitely been sent into that stuffed animal. The soul of Maria Onechan's love, so I acknowledge the existence of a being called Sakutaro inside that stuffed animal.
エンジェもサク太郎に挨拶して。ほら、サク太郎もご挨拶。フリュウ、エンジェ、怖い人？
As Sakutaro timidly looked at me, he unexpectedly met my gaze and hid behind Maria Onechan's back in surprise. Maria Onechan really is good at playing with stuffed animals.
大丈夫だよ、サク太郎。エンジェは怖くないよ。とっても優しい女の子だよ。どうも。サク太郎です。ウリュウ。
はじめまして、サク太郎。エンジェよ。新しいお友達になれて嬉しいわ。
I held out my hand as though asking for a handshake, and Sakutaro's short hand was stuck out towards me, lightly touching my index finger. After all, when a human and a stuffed animal shake hands, their sizes are too different. This greeting by touching each other's fingers was our handshake.
これでもうエンジェとサク太郎はお友達だよ。一人よりは二人、二人よりは三人の方がもっと楽しいよ。うりゅう。
Maria Onechan had given the name Sakutaro to the stuffed animal she received on her birthday and have warmed and expanded his existence in her heart for a long, long time. Therefore, even before she met him, his existence was sublimated into a personality. Even the first moment they met, they were already friends. Of course, that wasn't anything extraordinary in Maria Onechan's eyes. Although I don't think she personified and loved anything quite as much as Sakutaro. She loved the things she owned very much, treating them just like friends or beloved pets. Maybe Aunt Rosa hadn't let her keep a pet at some point, so she felt like treasuring objects instead. And maybe she was so isolated that she'd been forced to find a friend nearby. Because of all of that, what happened that day wasn't anything extraordinary from her perspective. Even so, Sakutaro, no, maybe I should call it Sakutaro, like Maria Onechan. There's no doubt that Sakutaro was a stuffed animal, no, a friend, whom she loved more than anything or anyone. It was already about 9 at night. Rosa had asked because this wasn't a good time to have a friend over, and she'd just been a little surprised. When she thought about it, Maria didn't have any friends who'd come over to play, did she? Aw, even though to think that she'd have so much fun playing with that stuffed animal. Rosa was very pleased that Maria had liked her birthday present so much.
ママ、どうしても仕事が片付かなくて、来期のラインナップが難航してるの。ようやく少しずつ注目され始めたみたいで、なんとかここで期待に応えられるインパクトを与えたいのよ。
今夜もお泊まり？いいよ、頑張ってママ。
そう？ありがとうね、マリア。ママのお仕事のことを分かってくれてありがとう。
Rosa was surprised that Maria had accepted so easily that she wouldn't be able to come home from work. To Rosa, having to tell Maria that she'd been coming home late or staying overnight was a huge burden. Maria would start crying about how lonely she was on the other end of the phone, and it took a lot of time and effort to calm her down. To think that Maria would accept in such high spirits. Is this also thanks to Sakutaro? Rosa was once again pleased that she'd given her daughter such a good present.
明日のこの時間には帰れるようにするわ。明日は一緒に夕食をとりましょう。マリアは夕食はまだよね。コンビニでお弁当を買ってきて食べてね。お菓子はダメよ。お釣りと一緒にレシートも入れておくのよ。
サクタロとお買い物、サクタロとお買い物。
こら、サクタロはダメよ。お留守番させなさい。
From Maria's manner of speech, Rosa got the feeling that Maria might have gone shopping with that stuffed animal without her knowing about it. Rosa's forehead creased after sourly saying that Maria definitely mustn't do that. She hung up.
Oh,
this is such a cool room. Oh, this is the same penguin that was in Shion's room. This is so cute, though. This is such an... I love this room. It's so pleasant to look at, isn't it?
サクタロとお買い物、ダメ。ウリュウ、マリアとお買い物に行けない。一人でお留守番、寂しい。なんでママ、サクタロとお買い物行っちゃダメなんて言うの？ウリュウ、きっと僕がマリアと一緒にいるのを見られると恥ずかしいんだよ。恥ずかしい？なんで？ママはよく僕を外に連れて行っちゃいけないって言うし、マリアのことをよくもう何歳になったんだからダメとかそういう言い方をするし。
What's the point of getting her a stuffed animal if you don't even want her to take it outside and shit? Like, people do that all the time. I'll fucking do that. I'm 20, how old am I, 24? I'll fucking take a stuffed animal out and just carry it around. You kidding me? Fuck this. Fuck you, Rosa. You care too much about what other people think. Also, other people don't give a fuck if you're holding a stuffed animal. Like, Who cares? It's a stuffed animal. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. No one cares about a stuff. It's not like you're holding a gun in public.
マリアはサクタラと一緒で全然恥ずかしくないよ。僕はライオンだけどぬいぐるみだし。ライオンでぬいぐるみだけどマリアのお友達だよ。だから
You're my
一緒にお出かけしよう。ママがいない時だけ内緒で。お、ひょっとしてサクタラも恥ずかしい？僕は恥ずかしくないけどウリュウ、ちょっとお外の人が怖い。そっか、じゃあサクタラが怖くなくて一緒にお出かけできる。マリアに任せて。便利なのがあるの。
Maria started fishing around her messy room. Rosa often told her to clean up, but Maria apparently didn't like doing it. However, Maria herself knew more or less where everything was, so much that if it were to be cleaned up, she would have trouble finding where anything was. Believe me, I'm holding to give it him, but this chapter's just ugh. In Japan, it'd be weird as fuck. I understand it'd be weird in Japan, but even in Japan, it's a stuffed animal. You know, like, they might think it's weird, but at the end of the day, they're not gonna think twice about it. You know what I'm saying? And if you do, you need to really reevaluate. Like, I know I have whatever American ideals or whatever, but I do understand Japan's culture a bit. And I think, although I think in today it's a bit different. Like, I think today people wouldn't care. Because even today, you can see people with really, like, yeah, they are in the 80s, you're right. But still, she's 9. She's not that old. She's really not that old. And even if it, I don't know, from my perspective, I think if you're a mom, I would want her to take the stuffed animal if it made her feel safer to go to the convenience store by herself. That's what I would think. Because if I was young, I would want to do that. So I guess I obviously sympathize, I empathize, I guess, more with Maria than I do Rosa. Because my mom was a lot like Rosa, where she was, she didn't want me to be perceived as like a brat or like a spoiled kid or like this or that. Yeah. No, yeah, sorry. I'm not trying to like argue with you or anything too. Like, oh, I'm just talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just thinking about it. Like, I hope you know that I wasn't trying to like argue with you or anything. So I guess for me, I can relate a lot more than to Maria than Rosa for sure.
ほら見てサクタラ。ラップザック。
I guess I've always kind of been a person who more or less didn't really give a fuck what people thought. I just kind of did it anyways, cause like, that's not my problem. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh, okay. That's just how I am. Maria proudly held it up high. Sakutaro looked at the knapsack, which was gaping open, squirming as though saying, "Are you serious?"
マリオ、もしかして。うん。これなら一緒にお買い物に行けるし、サクタラも怖くないよ。
Maria held Sakutaro up and started stuffing him into the knapsack. Oops. At first, she tried to stick him in head first, but then he'd be upside down and suffocate. Yeah, of course. As long as it doesn't hurt, of course. Yeah. That's always like added on to what I'm saying. Like, as long as it's not hurting anyone, of course. This is cool music. So she pulled him out and tried pushing him in again, feet first.
きつい、狭い、暗い、無理。ほら、大丈夫だよ。頭を
大丈夫。
暗くないから怖くないよ。景色もいいよ。うん、無理。本当だ。うん、大丈夫だよ。今日のお夕食は何がいいかな。さあ、お出かけしよう、サクタラ。マリアお姉ちゃん、楽しそう。うん、とっても楽しい。一人だった ったら寂しくてつまらないことでも、サク太郎が一緒なら何でも楽しい。どんな人間のお友達だって夕方になったらお家へ帰らなきゃならない。でもサク太郎は帰らないし、いつまでも一緒にいてくれる。一緒にテレビも見るし、お布団の中だって一緒だし、雷が怖い夜には手だって握っていてくれる。クローゼットやベッドの下のお化けだって追っ払ってくれるんだよ。サク太郎頼もしい。
ウリュウ、マリアを怖がらせるお化けは僕ライオンだから勇気を出して追い払っちゃうよ。ウリュウ、ガオー。
They were so close that it made me a little envious. I'm supposedly older now that Maria Oni-chan was then. But Maria really is my One-chan, and I still haven't reached her level. If only I had a friend close by like Sakutaro.
マリアもサク太郎もエンジェの身近なお友達だよ。いつもマリアたちはエンジェのすぐそばにいる。でもエンジェの魔法が弱いから、こうしてマリアの日記を開かないと知覚できないだけ。知覚？
マリアお姉ちゃんは難しい言葉を知ってるね。
According to her, this world is full of magic and spirits, and there is natural nearby as a light breeze.
風って普段は気にもしないし見えもしないけれど、お線香の煙とかがたなびくとそれを見ることができるんじゃない？
そうね。そしてそれは見えなくても普段から私たちの身近にある。
そういうこと。マリアもサク太郎もいつだってエンジェのすぐ近くで一緒なんだよ。神様や精霊、守護霊も私たちのすぐ身近にいるの。でも意識しないと存在を感じられない。目では見えない風のように。でもそれは確実に私たちの身近にあって、魔力という煙がたなびけば誰にだって見えるものなの。
I thought I'd only be able to meet Maria Oni-chan while this diary was open. But from what she says, she's always with me, so I can meet her at any time if I truly desire to.
マリアは自分の日記に日々の記録と一緒に自分の魂のかけらを残しておいたの。だからこの日記にはマリアの魔法の力が宿ってるの。でもそれはとても微弱なもので、エンジェ以外の人には誰も感じ取れない。
私にだけはわかるの？
うん。だってエンジェはマリアと同じで魔女の力を宿しているもの。エンジェだってちゃんとお勉強すればきっと将来立派な魔女になれる。
魔女？それは楽しいのかしら？
Aww.
楽しいよ。そうすれば日記を開かなくてもマリアやサク太郎がいつも身近にいるのがわかるようになり、そしたら毎日がとっても楽しくなる。そしたらエンジェにマリアは他にもたくさんのお友達を紹介。そしたら毎日が忙しくてとっても賑やかになるよ。
それは楽しいかもしれない。マリアお姉ちゃんが残した魔導書も持ってるわ。今度真面目に読んでみるわね。そしたら私も一人ぼっちじゃなくなるかな。
Maria, Nei-chan, and Sakutaro said that at the same time, happy that I had developed an interest in the world of witches. With her knapsack on her back and half of Sakutaro's face peeking out of it, she triumphantly walked through the shopping district late at night. Well, it was that time of day after all. Everyone in the shopping district was either a shop owner lowering the shutters on their shops, or an employee rushing, or else staggering on their way home. Amidst all that, Maria, who was in a good mood like someone on a hike, probably looked quite merry. Every once in a while, passing employees would glance at her back with the eyes of someone seeing something out of place. Office ladies giggled at the cute stuffed animal poking its head out of the knapsack. The supermarket had been closed for a while by this time. However, convenience stores, which had been growing in popularity lately, stayed open until midnight. It was very convenient for Maria, whose mother's return was often late. Maria lowered the knapsack from her back and, carrying it like a child in her arms, she headed over to the sweet buns corner. She pointed to a sweet bun she had eaten before, explaining to Sakutaro that this one was delicious and that this one was pretty good too. Sakutaro seemed to be enjoying it a lot.
マリアは3色パンにする。これ一つでね、あんことクリームといちごジャムが食べられるの。でもたまにウグイスあんだったり白あんだったりするの。あんこは1種類でいい。
うりゅう。いろいろ入ってて面白そう。うりゅう。
あとはマリアはフルーツヨーグルトにする。フルーツ入ってるけどお菓子じゃないよね。うん、きっとママも大丈夫。サクタルもどれか欲しい？
うりゅう？
I'm okay, so because I'm thinking about Maria, right, and where this story is gonna go, and I'm thinking back to the beginnings of how my gut was always saying Maria's right about everything. And since that's the case, Beatrice, I think even though she tricked him, I think she's still trying to win to help all of them. Like, I think she's still trying to bring them all to the Golden Land. Like, she needs to be acknowledged by him to fully be resurrected, I think. So I don't think she's doing these things maliciously still. Just thinking. I'm just thinking.
いいの？お金は大丈夫？
うん、全然平気。ほら、聖徳太子なの。うん。だからサクタロにも好きなものを買ってあげられるよ。一緒に食べよう。サクタロもヨーグルト食べる？
When Maria made to grab another one of the same fruit yogurt, Sakutaro bent his head slightly worried.
でも僕大きいのは食べられないから小さいのでいい。
おお、じゃあこの小さいお菓子ヨーグルトは30円だね。安い。
うりゅう、僕はそれでいい。マリアと一緒にヨーグルト。
30 yen? What is that, $3?
サクタロと一緒にヨーグルト。
Or 30 cents. No, that's 30 cents, huh? That's 30 cents. 300 would be $3. Yeah, one yogurt's not gonna be $3 back in the 80s. It's gonna be more like 30 cents. Maria put the 3-colored bread and the 2 yogurts into a shopping basket and brought them to the register. The man running the register had been in charge of the tobacco shop that had been here until
お
last
嬢ちゃ
year.
ん、この時間によく見かけるね。偉いけど、今度からこの時間のお買い物にはお母さんと一緒においでね。
ママがいいって言ったから大丈夫。ママはいつもお仕事で帰りが遅いけど、マリアたちは寂しくなんかないの。ね、サクタロ。
うりゅう。
そっか、そりゃ大変だね。
What a nice shop
ほら、
owner, though.
ジュースを1本おまけしてあげるよ。
Aww. That's so nice of him. The man working at the store took a can of leftover soda or something from behind the register and packed into the bag with everything else. And he's not judging her for the stuffed animal either. See, it's like,
おじさん、ありがとう。
you know, even though it's back then, I think it's still, even though in the 80s, I think I think the majority of people are judgmental, right? I think everyone's pretty judgmental. Like, and that's still the case today. So I think it's more so like people who are less judgmental and more empathetic are gonna be way nicer to Maria about her stuffed animal. Yeah, some people are like, oh, this poor girl has to go shopping alone at night because her mom works so much. You know, they're not even thinking about the stuffed
よかっ
animal.
たね、サクタロ。
うりゅう。
Since she had been told not to buy soda, she couldn't take it back home, so she decided to drink it on her way back and not bring that empty can back home. With the Vino bag and the sweet bun in it around her elbow, holding the knapsack with Sakutaro in it with that same arm, and drinking her soda, the two of them walked home.
柚子胡椒ソーダって微妙。
Yuzu koshu.
サクタロも飲んでみる？
うりゅう。 おりゅおりゅおりゅおりゅおりゅ。
Even in the old days, they exist. It's true. They were nice people even back then. You know what's crazy is whenever I see the 80s, I always think 20 years ago. But it's 40 years ago now. Isn't that fucking crazy? Like, that always... Like, I can't deal with that. I know. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy that that's like, that should be 20, it's always gonna be 20 years ago to me. Like, that's never gonna be, like, 40 years to me. Like, that's crazy.
うりゅマリアひどい。まじゅい。だよね。
Like, this is like 35 years ago or something. That's crazy. Of course, it's not like she could actually make the stuffed animal drink soda. She just put the can to Sakutaro's mouth and pretended to tilt it. But it was fun for Maria to share the taste of this weird drink that she had gotten for free with Sakutaro. There was a huge moon in the sky. Moon. At times, that moon had been clouded by tears when she'd been unmanageable during Rose's overnight stays, and when she'd been scolded by her mother. But this moon was very warm, and it seemed to watch over the two of them as they enjoyed their trip home by themselves. Maria and Sakutaro. Angie watched the two of them go from behind. She looked so warm from behind. After looking at the backs of Maria One-chan and Sakutaro together, it became very hard to remember all of those long nights when she'd cried because her mother hadn't come home. I couldn't say to Maria One-chan, but if I'd been in the same position, I may have given a stuffed animal the name Sakutaro. But it wouldn't have been anything more or less than a stuffed animal. Anyone can make a relationship. Sorry, something came up and I was like, what? Anyone can make a relationship that only distracts you from your loneliness. But Maria One-chan was different. Sakutaro isn't a stuffed animal or a toy. He was a real friend, and far from just distracting Maria from her loneliness, he changed the nights without her mother into a fun time where they could all play by themselves. Was it because Sakutaro was a special stuffed animal? Because her mother had made it herself? Because it was very, very cute? Probably not. If there's a secret here, it doesn't lie with Sakutaro. I think it probably lies with Maria One-chan.
これがマリアお姉ちゃんの言う魔法の力なの？
魔法を知るということは、今まですぐそばにいたのに気づけなかったたくさんの友達に気づけるということ。まるで新しいおもちゃ屋さんが近所にたくさんできるみたいに楽しいこと。
Even if I locked up in an academy without a single friend, had power like Maria One-chan, I wonder if I could make my days just a bit richer. I wonder if I'll be able to honestly shed tears on nights I felt like crying, to smile on gray nights.
できるよ。エンジェはできる。だってエンジェにだって魔女になれる資格があるもん。
魔女になる資格。
マリアも魔女になれる資格あるんだよ。だからまだまだ勉強中の修行中なの。きっと素敵な魔女になってほうきでお空をかけてケーンで虹を描いて飴玉を空から降らせるの。マリアはきっとできるよ。そしたらエンジェにも見せてあげるね。きっとそれは素敵な夢の中のような光景だから。
Maria One-chan said that, making an absolute promise with her smile. There's no way I could become a witch, but if Maria One-chan says that, it makes me feel that maybe I really can become a witch. You can do it, queen. Because in reality, on that desolate night where no flower of a smile could possibly have bloomed, her magic surely gave birth to a smile.
魔女になれるかな？
なれるよ。エンジェは少し年齢を重ねちゃったから 魂だから、マリアよりも修行は大変かもしれないけど、でも、きっとなれるよ。だってもう、エンジェは魔法の一端に触れてるもの。
私が魔法を？
だってほら、もうこの世にはいない私をこうして呼び出して語らっているよ。
これは魔法なの？
私が日記に残した魂のかけらをエンジェは魔法で膨らませて私を蘇らせてる。さっきも言ったよね。こうして私と再会して会話ができて時に笑顔を見せられるんだから、マリアお姉ちゃんが保証する。
Aww.
お姉ちゃんはさっき言ったわ。私は日記を開いた時にしか会えないと思ってるけど、私に魔法の力がもっとあれば、それを見て今こうしているようにお姉ちゃんと会話ができる？いつでも？
いつでもお話でき、朝のおはようの時だっていつもそばにいるし、退屈な授業は私とお話しして気を紛らわせようよ。食事の時には話し相手になれるし、お昼休みだってこれまでのようにいつも一緒に放課後だって一緒にいるし、もちろん寮に帰ってからだって私はいつもそばにいる。日記を広げた時にしか私を見てくれないだけ。
日記を閉じてもマリアお姉ちゃんは私のそばにいてくれるんだよね。
いるよ。だからエンジェが私を見ようとして、そして話そうとしてくれれば、私はきっと答えられるよ。しっかりと見て話そうとしてくれれば。
私やってみる。
簡単じゃないよ。いきなり上手くなんてきっといかないよ。
わかってる。きっと簡単じゃないと思う。でも私、マリアお姉ちゃんみたいになりたい。
おお、わかった。じゃあ私をよく見て。しっかり見て。ゆっくり目を閉じたり開いたりして。いきなり長くつむっちゃダメ。私の姿を瞳に焼き付けては、それをまぶたの裏に染み込ませていくつもりで。
やってる。
まぶたを閉じても私をイメージできるようになったら、そのままゆっくり柔らかく目を閉じていて。どう？まだ私が見えている？
多分見えてると思う。
じゃあ一度目を開いて。いよいよ本番。心を落ち着けたら日記を閉じて。その時一度マリアの姿は消えてしまうかもしれない。でも焦らずに心を落ち着けて。そしてまぶたの裏に染み込ませた私を逆に瞳に染み込ませていくつもりで、ゆっくりと虚空に私をイメージして、私を虚空に見て。
大丈夫。じゃあ閉じるね、日記。
Slowly I closed it. When I did so, a gray reality filled with dull air unfolded. Of course, Maria Onechan's form disappeared. Give it all you've got. Have courage. Take the first step into the world of witches. I felt like Maria Onechan was cheering me on inside my heart. She's cheering me on, really? Or do I just think she is? No, that's wrong. It's because I think that I cannot see her. Maria Onechan is always by my side. Even now she's definitely there, cheering me on to do my best. That reached my ears, so I mustn't ignore it like it's my imagination or the voice of my own heart. I believe that Maria Onechan is there. I mustn't doubt. I believe. Onechan said she'd always be by my side. I must not doubt that. But looking at that empty space by the empty wall of the back building. Amidst all those heartlessly boring rays of sunlight, calling out her name was unexpectedly difficult. The chains of common sense that had clung to me until today sneered at me, telling me that calling out to the empty air was ridiculous. It was almost like being told to take a step forward off the roof of a skyscraper overlooking a sea of lights. It's Maria One-chan saying it. It's alright, she's saying that I'm someone who can do it. Stop thinking you might fall, or that I'd be foolish to take a step off a roof. And free yourself from those chains of common sense. I steadied my breathing, I concentrated my mind. Make the vivid form of Maria One-chan in the empty space before you rise to the surface. Understand magic. And see Maria One-chan.
Maria, お姉ちゃん。え？誰かいるの？
At that time, I was answered by a rustle in the bushes and a wild cry, and I came to my senses. It looks like I wasn't the only one behind the school building. No, since I'd been so immersed in the world of the diary, I had noticed someone coming. I recognized a group of 3 beyond the bushes. They were kids from my class. From their appearance, it felt as though they come behind the school building to gossip about someone or talk in secret. I hurried out of that place, because if it became known I'd been alone in a place like this, mumbling to myself had become a pain again.
言ったよね。言ったよね。マリアお姉ちゃんとか言ったよね。
やばくない？心霊とか見えちゃってんじゃないの？あ
I could hear the shrill, loud laughter from behind. Irritated and feeling that Maria One-chan had been made fun of, I left that place at a quick pace, then a jog once I turned the corner. And I might have made it to One-chan's world with just a little more time. It was frustrating, aggravating. Why does everyone get in my way? I haven't gotten in anyone else's way, not even once. I ran and I ran, but I still felt as though I could hear their shrill laughter. Let me grab a drink really quick. Oh good, it's a in-between scene. Gives me time. Oops, something fell. Whoopsie! Something fell! Here we go. Here we go. 12 years later. Oh, 98! That's when I was born, baby! But this is when she visited Ava. I remember. I connect the dots. It honestly helped me and changed something in me in this chapter. I considered the heart of what the story's trying to say. Aw, I'm glad it had. I'm sorry you're going through a tough time in your life at the time, but I'm glad that it helped you. Like, pieces of media are so, like, actually, you know what? That happened with me when my mom died. I obviously, okay, so I was already like pretty depressed, and then my mom died, and so that it just got worse, you know what I'm saying? Like, things were not good in the hood. And so I was really not good, and then I watched Evangelion, and I know it might be cheesy, but like, it really gave me like a whole new perspective on life, and like, who I am, like what it means to be a person, like what is anything, you know what I mean? Like, so I can relate in that sense, even though it wasn't a visual novel, but it was still a piece of media, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they can be so impactful and influential on our lives, and I'm really grateful that we have things like this. So I'm excited to keep playing this chapter so I can experience what you did.
あんた、ビルのてっぺんから飛び降りたんだって？
追っかけがうざかったんで、ちょっと巻こうと思って。
No, you didn't. No, you didn't at all. No. You're totally okay. You're totally fine. You didn't make me remember. It wasn't like that at all. I was just thinking like, oh, what has really impacted me? And I was like, oh yeah, that happened. It was just like that. It was like that. You know what I mean? I'm just giving backstory, so I'm totally okay to talk about it. Thank you. I am doing much better. I'm doing much better. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're totally good. We're chilling now. We're chilling. Just showing how I can relate. Angie and the old gentleman wearing an expensive suit were alone in a massive modern conference room. All of the newest machines for presentations were installed there, but they didn't upset its refined and composed atmosphere. And that alone was enough to make the business-like theme of the room abundantly clear. However, that didn't matter at all to Angie. She carelessly sat on a high-class chair that executives making a salary of several 10 million yen probably sat in, looking aloof from the world.
下の方の階で改装工事してて、転落防止ネットがあるの知ってましたし。
Angie talked about it like it was no big deal, but in reality it had been a miracle among miracles. To think that she'd shot through several layers of safety netting for the remodeling project, been caught in a multicolored banner adorning the atrium and slipped off, only to be softly caught by a final banner, land on the ground without a scratch, and then briskly leave the place. It put Hong Kong movies to shame.
いくらネットがあるの知ってたったって、高さ200メートルの超高層だよ。もしも思い通りにならなかったら、今頃大変なことになってただろうよ。
死んだら死んだで、それまでってことでもいいかなって思いまして、まあそのちょっとした運試しです。
We should have a Nipa voice. Oh! Nipa! Okay, yeah. Good idea. Channel points for sure. I was like, what is CP? Channel points for sure. That's a great idea and suggestion. Let me write that down so I remember. Okay, there we go. I wrote it down. Sorry, just so I didn't forget, because I have to do it later, you know?
若気の至りってことで。
Yeah, of course. I love suggestions. As the saying that she'd had enough of that topic, Angie shrugged coldly, seeing that the old gentleman who was looking at the world below through a crack in the blinds cackled.
運試しときたか。いやはや、やっぱり金蔵さんのお孫さんだね。うんぷてんぷ。会長も博打に平気で命を懸けられる人だったが、これも後ろ宮の血なのかね。やっぱりあんた、将来大物になるよ。悪いことは言わない。家出ごっこはこの辺で切り上げて、須磨寺の家に戻ったらどうだい？
お母さん、実家と仲が悪かったって聞いてます。お葬式で初対面の人の家になんて行きたくないです。
The Sumaderas are Mom's family. They're an old family from Kyoto, and compared to Mom's frank attitude, unbelievably strict. The only Sumadera I'd been on good terms with Grandpa, who was living apart from his family under the guise of retirement. Mom kept in touch with him too, but she avoided the rest of the family completely, almost hostilely so. So when I went out to play with the Sumadera family, it was always Grandpa's house I visited. When I was young, I didn't really understand it, but I hear that Grandpa was in an extremely weak position, as a man who'd move into his wife's family register, and his relationship with Grandma was also bad. You might even say that Grandma hated him and confined him to the house. It isn't hard to imagine that because she had a soft spot for Grandpa alone, Mom was also hated by the Sumaderas. Since I was her daughter, they probably hated me quite a bit too, and yet they appeared for the first time at Mom's funeral, shamelessly going on about how big I'd gotten, like they could actually act like a family after all this time. When Ava died, I would inherit all the wealth of the Ushirome family. If that wasn't what they were after, there was no way they would have been able to say such disgusting words.
まあ一人ぼっちになっちまって自暴自棄になりたいエンジェちゃんの気持ちもわからなくもない。
自暴自棄とかじゃないです。小うるさいエヴァおばさんもやっとくたばったんで、久しぶりにのびのびと散歩してるだけじゃないですか。周りが大げさに騒ぎすぎなだけです。
Of course, everyone's after the vast Ushirome wealth I bear. They must think that becoming my guardian means they'll be able to do as they please with that wealth. Just how many people have tried to get close to me, acting like they want to be a substitute parent?
エンジェちゃんも辛いことがあったら俺でよかったらいつでも相談してな。
Oh my god. After how you were just grilling her about it, no one's ever gonna fucking come to you and talk to you, bitch.
エンジェちゃんのこと。
Oh my god,
実の孫みたい
shut
な思
up.
ってるんだから
You're
さ。
so full of shit.
はあ、当面はノーサンキューということで、それより話を戻してください。
エンジ
So
ェちゃん
Ryori.
何度聞かれたって俺が隠してることは何もないよ。あの日の六軒島の唯一の生き残りが会長なんだ。その会長が何も語らずに言っちまった。
His name? No, what's his name?
俺だって何もわからないよ。
I didn't notice
すべ
it.
ては闇の中
Should I
だ。
scroll up? Okonogi? I was thinking he looked like that guy from Higurashi too. I was like, he has the same sort of vibes. I myself know nothing. Oh wait, that's him talking. This old gentleman was one of those leaders who had been entrusted with the business group Ava had built after she passed away. The one he called chairman was the former chairman, Ava. His company once had friendly ties with Hideyoshi's business. He'd had a close relationship with both Hideyoshi and Ava. For that reason, when Ava lost Hideyoshi, he became the only person whom Ava might have let her true intentions slip. When Ava's heart was torn by the loss of her family, whenever she took it out on Angie, he had acted as a buffer between the two. So although Angie didn't trust him, she found him a very easy person to question.
あの事件はいや事件なんて言っちまったら怒られちまうな。それは俺も世間やワイドショーと同じ。
どうしてエヴァおばさんは事故当時屋敷から2キロも離れたところにたった一人で、それも嵐の晩に。
Hey King Groot, how are you? It's been a minute. What a cute emote.
当時金蔵さんは次の跡継ぎに誰を選ぶかで迷われていた。
So, okay. Right now, we're with the view of Angie, and you haven't met Angie yet. Angie is here. Let me show you. Yeah, of course. No, totally. Yeah, I'm doing good as well. Yeah, no problem. So this is Angie. No, we're on chapter 4. we're only on chapter 4 of 8, actually. So, the game is not over at all. A whole lot has happened, but I'll just tell you what's going on right now. So here is Angie, right? Angie is the daughter of Kirie. Remember Kirie? And so, at this time, she's supposed to be 6, right? So we're in the future after the tragedy, so after everyone died. So after everyone died, Ava was the only survivor, okay? I know, right? That was probably the end of the first or second chapter that you thought we were nearing last time. Yeah, it has gotten so much more complicated. So Ava was the only survivor last time. And so she became super spiteful and mad that George, her son, and her husband died. And so she takes all of her anger out on Angie. And she sent her to this like really strict Catholic school where she gets bullied and stuff. And so right now we're talking about stuff like that. And we're talking about oh, why did Kinzo was the only one who survived in the tragedy, and why was Ava the only one who survived? That's what she's questioning this guy about right now. Yep. There's a whole lot of stuff. Oh, there's so much too. If you ever have a bunch of time to kill, there's the VODs on my channel if you want to like click through a few things. Hi Blair Neko, how are you? St. Lucia Academy. I know the same one that Shion went to. I love Shion, she's me.
表向きは長男のクラウスさんってことになってたんだが、クラウスさんはあまり信頼されていなかったんだ。
それで親兄弟4人の中から公平に跡継ぎを決めるため、非分の謎というゲームじみた試練を課した。
それは表向きだな。おそらく金蔵さんは初めからエヴァさんを当主跡継ぎにするつもりだったんだ。
But he didn't write the epitaph, Beatrice did. Oh, thank you, I'm glad. I don't like my voice, so it's nice that someone else does. Yeah, missed you too, bud.
長男が跡継ぎだという自らのルールを
It's nice that you
撤
get
回
to
して
be
で
here
も
again.
クラウスさんと違い非常に勤勉で優
It's
秀
nice
だ
that
っ
all
た
of
エ
you
ヴァ
are
さんに
here.
家
I'm
を
glad
任
it's a
せたかったん
party right
だ。
now. He wanted to withdraw his own rule that the eldest son became, and instead of Kraus son. Oh. Maybe, but I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure Beatrice wrote the epitaph, not Kinzo.
非分の謎を解いた者に家督を引き継ぐなどという新ルールは
Well, rough to follow you with your streaming schedule too. Yes, I'm sorry. I do just stream when I feel like it. That's very true. But lately, I've been pretty regular. I've been streaming around the same times in the morning, so there is that. Maybe I can set a set schedule in the future. I'll have to decide on that. I'll have to see. Yeah, I'm NA. So right now for me, it's 11:30 in the morning. And lately I've been streaming around, I start streaming around 5 to 7 a.m. my time. So however many hours ago that is. About 5-6 hours ago. So I'm streaming a little bit later today. So I usually stream in the morning.
クラウスさんから次期当主の肩書きを奪うためだけの茶番だったんだろうな。
Explains the messages, you going online midnight. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, we're on totally different sides of the world, huh? That's too bad that yeah, so maybe I'll try to do some streams at some different times for your time. So a little bit later in the day. Or maybe later at night for me would be better for you. Maybe I'll try some late night streams too. I could do that. You know, I'm totally flexible. We can do some of that.
茶番ってどういう意味ですか？
あの碑文は誰にも解ける必要はなかったのさ。
This stream timing is great. Oh, okay. Well, this works for me.
適当に刑事期間を経た後、本当に金蔵さんが後を継がせたかったエヴァさんを呼び出し、その答えを与えるだけでいい。
But he was dead, so he didn't give her the answer. But why is this highlighted? I have questions.
つまり、そ
I
れこそ
don't
が
know the answer
当主継承
to.
の証ってわけさ。
それはワイドショーでは言われていない話ですね。
まあ、当主継承がうんぬんなんて話をしたら、余計陰謀説が優勢になっちゃうからね。
Okanogi imposter.
俺もバカじゃないからさ。誤解を招くようなことはわざわざ口にしないよ。
Shinayo. This was his theory. At that time, the Uchiromiya family head Kinzo, whose remaining life was announced to be short, was troubled by the problem of who was to succeed him. Normally, the successor would be fixed as the oldest son, Kraus, whom Kinzo had chosen himself. But in his later years, Kinzo began to think that Eva would make a more fitting family head. However, Kinzo, who was stubborn even against himself, was stymied by the successor that he'd already given to Kraus, and he'd searched for an official stance by which he could skip over Kraus and Eva as his successor. That official stance was the riddle of the epitaph. The primary successor was still Kraus, but there was a new rule saying that if someone appeared who could solve the riddle, they would be chosen as the successor to the headship. But Beatrice wrote this, so this whole theory is a bunch of baloney. A bunch of bologna, if you will. Then on what would probably be his final family conference, Kinzo told Eva the answer to that riddle himself. No, you are wrong! Wrong! In short, it was the same as proclaiming that Eva herself was the successor.
エヴァさんはあの日、金蔵さんに呼ばれ、それを打ち明けられたんだ。そして、当主を引き継ぐため、当主だけが知る隠し館である、クワドリアンにエヴァさんを呼びつけたのだ。
で、一足早くその隠し館で待っていたエヴァおばさんは、そのおかげで事故の難を逃れたと。エヴァおばさんが全ての財産を奪うために事故を装ってみんなを殺し、自分だけ難を逃れただけかもしれない。
大衆氏はそう騒いでるな。だが俺はエヴァさんを信じてるよ。
The thing is, Eva wouldn't kill Hideyoshi and George. So, it's not her.
信ずるに足るポイントがいくつかあると思ってる。
例えば？
今エンジェちゃんが指に通してるその後ろ宮家当主の指輪だよ。その指輪は金蔵さんが特別に作らせた世界に一つしかない指輪だ。そして今エンジェちゃんが指にしているものは
Yeah, Beatrice gave it to Eva, dummy.
作った細工師も認めてる。
But you don't know that. You're just spitting conjecture. The Ushiromiya family head's ring. That ring with the heft of gold and the one-winged seal on it had a diamond arranged on a pedestal and felt both sturdy and reminiscent of the dark hobbies of the rich. Kinzo had worn that on his finger without removing it for a moment. This man was saying that the fact Eva had proved that Kinzo had acknowledged her as the successor.
その指輪を確かにエヴァさんが持つからこそ、そして実際にエヴァさんが優秀で、クラウスさんにはビジネスシーンでの数々の集大が知られていたことを加味すると、エヴァさんの話は全くの作り話とは思えないんだ。
その指輪を奪うためにおじい様を殺害した可能性だってあるけれど、そしてエヴァおばさんは何らかの細工をして事故に見せかけて一族を皆殺しにした。
そうだな。大衆氏は財産の独り占めが目当てで一族を皆殺しにしたなんて言ってるようだな。確かにエヴァさんはここ一番では随分思い切ったこともしちゃう人だよ。あるいは後ろ宮家の財産を独り占めできるチャンスに生涯でただ一度の殺人を犯したかもしれない。だがね、俺はそうは思わない。
そう信ずるに足るポイントの2つ目は？
エヴァさんのご家族だよ。秀吉さんにジョージ君。
Yeah, he's got something right at least.
エンジェちゃんはにわかには信じがたいだろうけど、エヴァさんはあれでかなり家族を大事にする人だったんだ。
True, part of me didn't want to believe or acknowledge it, but I did understand vaguely. Aunt Ava certainly had been a person who highly treasured her family. After all, the root of her twisted personality had been nothing more than the sadness of losing her beloved husband and son. After getting hit with her angry outbursts as she tried to distract herself from that pain, I have no feelings of sympathy at all. True. But it's not like I can't imagine how the incredible shock of losing her whole family must have changed her character.
家族を愛したエヴァおばさんが夫と息子を見捨てるわけがないと？
そうだ。もし本当にエヴァさんが犯人で一族を事故に見せかけて皆殺しにしたならば、夫と息子が絶対に生き残ってるはずなんだ。偶然自分の家族だけが隠し館にいたとへりくつをこねてね。もし秀吉さんとジョージ君も無事だったなら、さすがの俺でもエヴァさんの陰謀を疑ったろうよ。俺は秀吉さんの葬儀で見せたエヴァさんのあの号泣を演技だなんて到底思えんね。
どっちも状況証拠的ですね。エヴァおばさんの潔白を物理的に示すには至らない。
それを言っちゃおしまいだよ。生き残ったのはエヴァさん、その彼女が、それが
でも彼女の潔白は誰にも
ああ、そうさ。そして彼女の犯行も誰にも証明できない。そして信ずるべきポイントの最後が警察だ。何しろ派手な事件だったからね。
Angie looking a little like you, huh? There's actually a character in here that is literally me. Her name's Chester45. I wonder if she's here. Oh, she's not in here, but there's a character named Chester45. And she's me. She has pink hair and bunny ears, and I'm like, oh my god, she's me.
陰謀説を騒ぐ世論に後押しされて、警察が随分とエヴァさんを調べたはずさ。
It was easy to feel something unnatural about the claim that Ava had avoided the accident by coincidence, because she alone had escaped into a hidden mansion. Furthermore, at the time, Hideyoshi's company had been right in the middle of a takeover struggle, and in order to buy off the big stockholders, she wanted a large sum of cash. It shouldn't be too hard to find a motive there, but as a matter of fact, there had been nothing at all that implicated Ava as she went to the family conference. Nothing unnatural was found on her that could have been used to brutally murder her family and make it look like an accident. The servants who escaped harm by being off duty on that day also stated that they hadn't seen anything strange regarding anyone related to the event, Ava included. Putting all that together, it could only be concluded that Ava had headed to Rokunjima for a normally family conference without any change, and had encountered an accident. 20 years for the win? Fuck
あれだけ
yeah.
散々調べて事件性を見出すことができなかった。警察がそう断じた。それで六軒島疑惑は決着じゃないのかな。
それは単に警察は事件発見できなかったってだけの話じゃないんですか？
Yep, the police are super incompetent. Never trust
そ
their
れを言い出したら
investigation.
キリがないな。悪魔の証明になっちまうよ。犯罪を暴くには証拠を見つければいい。でも無実を示すには何を見つけりゃいいんだい？消極的事実の証明は不可能だ。
エヴァおばさんが犯罪を犯したか否か、それを判断する材料が見つからないから、そのまま真相は迷宮入りということですね。
そうだな。エンジェちゃんの期待する言い方にするとそうなるな。
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with my pink hair. That's awesome that you did it too, though. I love when other people do their hair in cool colors.
エヴァさん自身にだって自分の無実は証明不能なのさ。あの島で不幸な事故があった。そしてたまたまエヴァさんが生き残った。しかもそれ以上のことは何もわからない。つまるところ唯一の生存者であるエヴァさんの話を信じられるか否かってことになる。俺は信じたよ。
Yeah, that's awesome. Me too. I love dyeing my hair. I hadn't dyed it for a while because I wanted to grow it out, but then I finally grew it out enough and I was like, alright, I'm ready to dye it.
そして葬儀で見せた涙。それらを加味して考えて彼女の話を信じようと思ったんだ。
でも私は信じない。指輪なんて 奪う気なら方法はいくらでもあるだろうし、家族仲が本当に良かったかなんて誰にもわからない。葬儀の涙が本物かなんて証明不能。というか、私はそもそもエヴァおばさんなんて大嫌い。
大嫌い。
だから私は彼女の話を信じよう
Whenever
な
I
んて
hear
思わない。
Daikirai, I think of Asuka. And when that scene of her just saying, Kirai, Kirai, Daikirai. Oh, poor Asuka. Poor baby.
事件の真相をどう見るか。俺とエンジェちゃんで真っ向から対立しちまったな。俺たちに与えられてる情報は全く同じなのに、全く異なる見解も持っちまう。こういうこと、政治や経済でもよくあるんだ。
Sadly, not so many do it where I live. Aw.
同じ事業をやっても必ず評価は分かれちまう。
I see it. It's not too often, but not too rare either.
どうしてか分かるかい？
いいえ。
愛があるかどうかさ。相手に愛を感じてるかどうかで、物の見え方は全く違うってことなんだ。好きな人が貧しい人に施しをすれば尊敬できるだろう。でも嫌いな奴が施しなんて始めたら、売名行為だとかばらまき行政だとか非難合々さ。何をしてもしなくても愛があれば感謝し、愛がなければ非難する。
Here it
それが
is.
世の中ってもんなんだ。
エヴァおばさんのことを信じられるか信じられないか、それだけの違いってことですか？
彼女を疑う人間には、彼女が何をしてもしなくてもそれは実に逆もしかり。俺はね、世の中には真実なんてものはよっぽどのことがない限り存在しないんじゃないかと思うね。いや、仮にもし真実が存在したとしても、それを信じるか信じないかは、絶対性の宿らない真実なんて真実と呼べるのかい？エヴァさんが物理的なアリバイを示したとしても、君はそれを信じられたかい？
I love this music. It's hard to counter that. I hate Aunt Ava, so I'll probably deny any information beneficial to her. I'd interpret any neutral information in a negative way. In other words, the truth is already decided inside me. So just what in the world is this truth that I'm still searching for unsatisfied?
そういうことさ。つまり俺から何を聞こうとも、エンジェちゃんがエヴァさんを何を聞いても今更何も変わらないってことなのさ。少なくとも今のエンジェちゃんじゃ、仮に未知の新事実を掴んだとしても真相に至ることはできんと思うね。
私では真相に至れませんか？
だってエンジェちゃんはどんな新情報や新証拠が見つかったってエヴァさんが犯人だってスタンスは変えないんだろう。ならこれ以上何を調べたって意味はないじゃないか。君の中の真相はすでに決まっているわけさ。だがもしエンジェちゃんがそれを真相と思わずに、さらに奥深くの本当の真相にたどり着きたいと願うなら、一個だ。もう話したつもりなんだけどな。なんだかわかるかい？
愛ですか？よく意味がわからないです。
エンジェちゃんは今エヴァさんを犯人だと仮定しものを考えている。でもそれじゃあ片目でものを見てるようなものなんだ。片目じゃどんなに目を凝らしてもものを立体的に見ることはできないだろ。だからもう一つ目がいるんだ。もちろん今の目とは別の立場での。
エヴァおばさんが犯人ではない、あるいは本当に事故であるという仮定にも基づいて物事を見ろと。
そうそう、その通り。物事を考えるときには異なる立ち位置から見るようにするんだ。そうじゃないと 本当のことは何もわからない。新聞だってそうさ。一つの新聞だけじゃ、その記事を書いた記者の目線一つでしかものが見られない。複数の新聞を読むことで初めて立体的かつ冷静に分析ができることもある。愛がなければ真実は見えない。
Without love, the truth cannot be
いいね。
seen. Maybe he thought it interesting that such a flashy phrase would pop out of his mouth. For a while he laughed, looking pleased. At the same time, he was telling me that he said everything he knew. And that it was about time to leave. I understood that and got to my feet. Oops, sorry.
俺にもエンジェちゃんの気持ちが分かったよ。あんたが納得するようにしばらく好きにしたらいい。当時君は6歳だった。
I mean, that's brutal for that to happen when you're 6.
わけがわからないうちに家族を失い、未だに心の整理がつかない気持ち、よくわかるんだ。真相はわかるかもしれない、わからないかもしれない。エヴァさんは犯人かもしれないし、犠牲者かもしれない。エンジェちゃんが信じる真実が見つけられるのを祈ってるよ。若いうちの旅も貴重な経験かもしれない。
ありがとうございます。お忙しいところお邪魔して本当にすみませんでした、お好みさん。
I wonder if that's the first time they've said his name.
いいっていいって。これからどうするんだ？
まあ適当に。事件関係者やその道の専門家ってやつに何人かアポを入れてるので、そちらを当たるつもりです。
そうか。納得のいく答えが見つかるといいな。
At that time, company's president Okunogi's secretary came in, handing him a memo over his shoulder. He read it, then looked between it and my face.
エンジェちゃん、旅に出てごらんと言った矢先で申し訳ないんだが、耳に入れといた方がいい情報だ。君、今だいぶやばいらしいね。
私の金を狙ってる連中ですか？だからお金なんてくだらない。
だからって財産丸ごと売っ払って、全額を福祉に。エンジェちゃんの財産で川残業してる連中が目ん玉飛び出しちまうよ。
ああ、スマデラの家で。あいつら何を偉そうに保護者面して。
I hadn't forgotten Ava. There's no way I'll put myself in the care of the Sumurata family. They probably want to, as Ava often threatened in the past, cut off my arms and legs, throw me in a warehouse, and suck the Uchirome family's wealth dry.
スマデラ家の使いがここに来るそうだ。君を引き渡せと。いやいや、保護したいと言ってるな。
使いって？
君の叔母だよ。キリエさんの妹さんだ。君のことを妹のように思っていると前に話してた。
ご冗談。
I just checked out to see your pink hair and you look so cute with it. Oh, thank you. I appreciate
せめ
it.
て孫と言ってよ、あのババア。
文脈から見るに、君の意思は聞く気がないようだ。
Yeah, I used to cosplay in the past and I plan on doing it in the future when I have more funds for sure.
地下2階の駐車場に車が待たせてある。行きなさい。
I have so many people I want to cosplay.
スマデラの家から引き渡いいの？私を行かせて。
エンジェちゃんはきっと将来大物になるよ、この歌手は。その時の出世払いってことにしとこう。行きな、早く。
After bowing silently and deeply, Angie left that place in a dash. After watching her leave, the female secretary straightened her glasses and whispered.
妻寺家からは足止めをして行かせてよろしいのですか？
足止めならしたよ、十
Shion.
分に。
Yeah, I really want to cosplay Shion for sure.
それに間に合わないのはスマデラの過失だね。エンジェちゃんには逃げろと言ったし、スマデラにはエンジェちゃんが来てるよと通報したし、捕まっても捕まらなくても双方に恨まれない。世の中はすべからく愛だね。大丈夫、逃げおせるよ。何しろ追ってまくためにビルから飛び降りられる子だからね。
Okunogi looked down again through a crack in the blinds, muttering, "Nope, definitely couldn't do it." Angie wasn't a fool herself. She got off the elevator, but on the 3rd floor. A taxi in the 2nd level of the basement? That's so neat and clean that I don't like it. It's probably better to refuse for now, but my enemies aren't fools either. They're probably waiting on the 1st floor lobby as well as the underground parking lot. And it's such a massive building. Instead of getting anxious and escaping outside, maybe it's better to stay inside and wait it out. No, that's useless. If they get their hands on a security room in a modern building like this, they'll have nowhere to run to. This entire building is like a massive dead end. The 3rd floor is the business floor. A young girl like me will clearly stick out. Trying not to stand out any more than I had to, I walked at a brisk pace, searching for an emergency exit. It'd be perfect if that staircase was an outside one. I found the door to the emergency exit. After opening that heavy door, I found the outside staircase I'd hoped for. I bumped into a man who looked like an employee skipping work and smoking a cigarette. After glaring at me, he quickly crushed out his cigarette and went away. Looked like there was no one below. If I'm gonna escape, now's my only chance. Just when I thought that, a black car slid right under me and came to a sudden stop with an incredible squealing of tires. Judging by the sound of the tires, it seemed they had several other allies, and that one of them had come here to block this path.
かすみおばさん、やるじゃない。非常口から出てくるメイにまで送迎車を送るなんて。
Bam! Bam! The doors of the car were forcefully opened and 3 black-suited men jumped out, looking up the emergency staircase. Crap, our eyes met.
12マルタイ発見。北西側非常階段3階。応援を。エンジェ様、そこを動かれませんように。ご無礼を失礼します。
3 of them began to clamber up the emergency exit. They've already announced that they plan to be rough. This is pretty bad. As long as I don't stop breathing, they've probably been ordered to grab me no matter what, even if they gotta rip out one of my arms. Clank, 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 clank. Their heavy, wild footsteps began a helix and began to rise from the lower floors, getting closer. In the entrance lobby of the building, a woman with 7 black-suited guards behind her advanced at a leisurely pace. Seeing this ostentatious entrance, the security guards for the buildings ran up to them, asking if they had an
こ
appointment.
れだから東京人は名乗らせなければ相手の格もわからない。
失礼いたします。当社ではご来賓の皆様にはフロントにて下
がれ。私はお前たちの社長に呼ばれ、おこのぎ哲郎を呼んでおいで。呼びつけておいて出迎えもないとはね。これだから東京人は。
これはようこそ後ろ宮グループへ。スマデラかすみさん。
With the secretary behind him, Okunogi dashingly appeared from the elevator. Even though both of them wore bold smiles, they were wrapped in a tension reminiscent of the smell of gunpowder.
エンジェはどこ？姉さんのかわいいかわいい姪を迎えに来たのよ、私は。
後ろ宮グループでは時間厳守が時間を守れない人間は契約も守れない。
東京まで呼びつけてなんてざまな。逃がしたわね。
逃げられたと言ってもらい、これでも随分足止めはした。さすがに気取られましてね。スマデラさんが時間通りに来てくれれば問題はなかったのですが、これだから地方人はルーズで困るんです。
今なんとこの私になんと。
You couldn't sense any of Kirie's open frankness in Kasumi's face. She wore the arrogance of the ancient Sumurata family towards the ruined Ushiromiya family, as well as pride, because she didn't want anyone to notice that her family was declining so much that they couldn't ignore the Ushiromiya family as well. Even at a glance, it was easy to understand why Angie hated her aunt so deeply. She couldn't stand even a slight insult, and even though she still smiled, her eyebrow twitched. At that time, The black-suited man behind Kasumi whispered to her.
園児様を発見しました。対応中です。
あら、間に合ってよ。ありがとうね。ようやくやんちゃな名誉を連れて帰れそうだわ。私、あの子と一緒にゆっくりとお茶室で語らいたくて、お道具まで準備して待ってたんだから。
Clink, 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 clink. As the violent sounds drew a helix, it rushed up at me from below, threatening to swallow me up. Of course, even if I fight, there's no way I'll be able to win, and yet running into the building would be like jumping into a dead end of my own accord. My enemies will increase in number with time. If I don't do something here now, I won't have any more chances to escape. Then 3 muscular, black-suited men came into view below me. 1, 2, 3. 3 people. In other words, everyone who had gotten out of the car. If there had been just one of them, I might have been able to drop kick them or something and smash them in the head, which might work out. But it really would be impossible with 3 of them. Wait, 3? If there's just 3, I should be able to make it. I can do it.
バカやめろ、危ない。うわー。01より12、確保したか。応答されたし、どうした。応答しろ。なんてやつだ。くそ。
Ow, ow, ow. See, that worked out perfectly, didn't it? There was just the 3 of them after all. I've already tried that once from a higher place. I knew I'd be able to jump down just 3 floors. It's a good thing the car they came in was right beneath me. Even if it wasn't as pleasant as a trampoline, it broke my fall, a little gently, a little roughly.
失礼しちゃうわ。ここまでへこむこともないだろう。
The roof of the car broke my fall, leaving a massive dent around my body. Car roofs are surprisingly delicate. I don't think it's because of my weight. Apparently, the 3 people on the stairs hadn't planned on me jumping down. It seemed they now realized that they'd been outwitted, and they were rushing down the stairs. I've got to run and escape while I have the chance. I moved my body, making clunking sounds on the car roof. I've been naive. Of course they wouldn't all rush up the stairs without leaving one person behind. There was one black-suited man left in the driver's seat of the car that had broken my fall. He stuck his head out the window. When he realized what had fallen on him, he jumped out. In a rush, I jumped off the roof, but the black-suited man's reaction was really fast. Either there was a massive reward for capturing me, or there'd been some harsh punishment in store for them if they let me get away.
15、確保、確保。
いった気安く触らないで離して。
I was mercilessly held down against the asphalt. I was being crushed face down, covered and pressed upon from above. It was a hold without trace of elegance, but it was elegant and practical and left me with no room for resistance. I tried to push back with both hands, searching for a way to resist, but I was being pushed down solidly and I couldn't even tear myself off the asphalt. Then another car came, squealing its tires as it slid up to a stop. Is it all over now? The man that had been crushing me let out a sharp cry. He was yelling straight into my ear, making my left ear ring. What in the world? Along with the black-suited guy, I fell with a thunk. After landing face up, the first thing I saw was an arm stuck out right in front of my eyes.
天草、あんたどうしてここに？
その話は巻いてからにしましょうぜ。お嬢。
Oh, who's this guy? Amakusa grabbed my arm, easily pulled me up, spinning me around with himself at the center of gravity. Just when I thought I was a little like a dance, he flung me through the open door in the driver's seat. I climbed over the handbrake and slid into the passenger seat. Yeah, he's a husband of material for sure. Pushing me in, Amakusa also got into the driver's seat. Since we suddenly accelerated while I was still on all fours, I had to kick and struggle around on the chair for a while, like a turtle that's been flipped over. Amakusa checked the rearview mirror for cars in pursuit, but he flew into the artery of the big city without lowering his speed in the slightest. We sewed our way between cars one after another, and just like a chase scene in some action movie, I was shaken by this horrible driving and had trouble sitting back down.
お嬢、お怪我は？
問題ないわ。人間って案外頑丈よ。私、次からは下りのエレベーターを逃したら窓から飛び降りることにするわ。
お嬢の趣味はエアダイブらしいや。ただ次からは落下傘をつけることをお勧めしますぜ。
飛び降りた後に思い出せたらね。
クー。
He smacked the steering wheel, guffawing. Guffawing? Need an explanation for this flippant talking man? His name is Amakusa Juza. He was originally one of Aunt Ava's guards. Didn't she start to hate him because he chatted too much? He was much younger than the rest of the guards, but contrary to his outward flippancy, he'd hopped from the 1st Airborne of the JSDF to the French Foreign Legion, placing himself in overseas private military companies and high-class security companies one after another, making for a pretty invincible and unique career. Amakusa Jaza. But I heard he deserted both the JSDF and the French Foreign Legion, and that he'll be arrested if he enters France again. Both of these flippant episodes were very typical of him. The guards were sternly told not to chat with me unnecessarily. Your head now, new ship has been found. Oh my god. But he came and took a pass at me, didn't he? Ava was apparently particularly put off by that and had supposedly dismissed him shortly before she died.
その軽口が懐かしいわ。クビになった後はどうしてたの？
Or are they like a ship material?
ブラックウォーターでエクササイズの指導を。
Well, he did save her.
休暇で帰国したら小此木社長に高給を提示されまして。
んで、また脱走？こんな男、何の役に立つのかしら。
来週までに帰りゃ脱走にはなりませんので。話があったのは昨日で、お嬢が厄介な連中を呼び込むかもしれないと言われました。
まさにその通りで申し訳ないわね。
お嬢と面識があってドタバタの経験も豊富ってこと。お嬢のおかげでハッピーな休暇と小遣い稼ぎになりそうです。
小此木さんがあんたを私の護衛に雇ったってこと？
お嬢に恩を売りたいんでしょうぜ。首の後、お好みの社長にはいろいろと世話になってましてね。いろいろと弱みを握られてんで逆らえんのですわ。
はあ、小此木さんの世話になると後々で高くつきそうね。で、あんたは私をどこに連れて行くつもりなの？
どちらへでも週末までは雇われてます。
This is a very jazzy tune for sure.
それ以降は別料金で。
It's very complex.
一日いくら
5万で手を打ちます。経費は別ですぜ。
軽口を叩かないなら倍雇用期間は未定。何週間かになるかも。
そりゃ大変だ。ボスに休暇の延長を電話しねえとなりませんぜ。
私どうしてもあの日のことが調べたいの。
ああ、例の六軒島の。
そうよ、12年前にあの島で何があったのか私の手で納得がいくように調べたいの。
そんな昔のことを今さら調べて今さら新しい発見がありますかね。
そうね。だからこれは私の自己満足のための旅なのよ。それを終えたらネギでも背負ってスマデラの家に行くわ。かすみおばさん、私にお抹茶をご馳走したいとか言ってた。角材の上に正座させられて石でも抱かされながらのお茶かしら。
そりゃおっかねえや。
I think I might switch over to a Mario Party game now. This seems like a good stop.
申し訳ございません。見失いました。